The Eagles are officially off to a good start. They're 2-0. They had some injuries, and now they got a 10-day break, essentially. You know, this is where the Thursday night games are great because if you win, you get the weekend off. And, you know, the fellas get away from each other. It's early in the season. You rest up a little bit. They had a couple of players get nicked last night, a couple of players that did not play in the game last night because it was a Thursday night game. And they have not played their best, but they are 2-0. And, you know, a guy like A.J. Brown is getting frustrated because that's 2 games in a row now where he basically hasn't done much. But Jalen Hurts is, you know, he's grinding. He's struggling a little bit. I think defenses kind of know who he is now. And Brian Flores is trying to do everything he possibly could to stop him. And early in the game, I thought they actually did a pretty decent job.
Well, yeah,
but these
of course
fumbles,
they did.
but these fumbles by the Vikings are just crazy.
Yeah, too many turnovers the first 2 weeks, and obviously the Justin Jefferson one that turned into the touchback changed the entire football game. I mean, that's a 10-7 game at that point. In the third quarter, the Vikings could have gone up 14-10, and after that, just see you. That was the backbreaker. That was the end of it, and I understand they got close, within 6 late in the game, but then the defense couldn't do anything as the Eagles just drive right back down the field. And they're really, really good, as we know, and they're going to be right there again, going to the Super Bowl. You picked them to go back to the Super Bowl. They're going to be right there. And as you mentioned, there were some guys that were missed, and their defense is not the same. And that's going to be the thing that is going to separate the 49ers, the Eagles, and the Cowboys when you're talking about the NFC, is this defense has looked not great the first 2 weeks. Now, they were missing Bradbury. Fletcher Cox didn't play last night. There's another safety who had missed for the Eagles last night. Of course, that factors in. But even when some of those guys were playing last week, Mac Jones and New England Patriots were putting up some major yardage through the air. So right now, if I'm a Cowboys fan, an Eagles fan, or a Niners fan, I feel a hell of a lot better about my defense. I'm a Cowboys fan or a Niners fan than I am about the Philadelphia Eagles. They got to fix that.
I would agree. And your quarterback's amazing again. 364 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I want him to be my fantasy quarterback.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they can't win. I mean, it's amazing how many yards Justin Jefferson puts up, how many yards Kirk Cousins puts up. And last night, he gets hit a lot again last night. But, man, you see how he stands in there?
Yeah.
I mean that's the thing. Like, all these quarterbacks and all these quarterback gurus and all these people out there working with quarterbacks, off-platform throws, sidearm throws, no-look passes. Kirk Cousins doesn't do that. I mean, he just, stands in there, takes the hit, and knows where he's going with the football. And more often than not, the guy's either wide open or the accuracy is there. The ball is amazingly right within, the catch radius of the player.
Yeah, and he played, other than, there's the fumble, and you have, the issues you always hear about with Kirk Cousins on a national TV platform. He played really well last night. And this is something that we learned about him even more so in the quarterback documentary. He is willing to sacrifice his body on every single play to try to make a play for his team. And I learned throughout the year, last year watching him, he took more hits and stood in there and won a bunch of games at the end, and I gained more respect for him. And then watching the documentary, even more respect for him. This is probably going to be his last year in a Vikings uniform.
Which is amazing. Who are they replacing him with?
I don't know. It's just one of those things that I think that he's going to be 35. It's a lot of money. I think they're going to see where they end up in the draft. I mean, they could bring him back, but they're also, they're trying to go through a rebuild. They had to get a lot of old money and guys off that defense last year. I don't know. It just feels like, and I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, because I have to see the options. I got to see where they're going. But it just feels like since this new regime came in prior to last season, that they were going to go with Kirk Cousins for a couple of years, and they were going to try to do something different after that.
I mean, I'm walking off that field. I'm going, my quarterback just threw for 364 yards and 4 touchdowns. He didn't throw an interception. Yeah, he had a sack fumble, but everybody else is fumbling on this team. I think they have 6 fumbles now in their first 2 games. I mean, the offense is not the problem in Minnesota.
Well, the offensive line is, and they missed their center and Christian Darrisaw, their big left tackle.
28 points.
They were down to their 3rd left tackle. Yeah, but I mean, you're right. You're right about that. But I mean, also there's a sack fumble that was critical in this football game, and it wasn't Kirk Cousins' fault. I mean, the guys were all over him. So, I mean, the defense and offensive line play for that team has been way below average for a very long time. And those are two major things that you need to have to win in this league. You got to have a top 10 defense, and you got to have a top 10 offensive line, or at least one of the two. And then the Vikings don't have that. Clearly, the Eagles have had that combination for a number of years. Right now, their defense has not been great. It should be better as the year goes on. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. And then I knew they never win that game. Outdoors, on the road, prime time, grass against a good team. It never happens. That's why I used one of my 2 knockout picks on the Philadelphia Eagles last night, because I've seen this story too many times. It's like reading the same book over and over and over again. There was no way they were going to win that game. And when they were in it in the beginning, I had no fear that I was going to lose the pick, and it would have been fine if they won. I would have been happy. It's just a knockout pick. If your team wins, you're happy. But there was just no way they were going to win.
It's amazing. Your best player, makes the mistake of the game, really.
Yeah. I mean, Justin Jefferson with the fumble over the pylon. Yep, that was it.
Of all players, like, you would think, okay, maybe one of these backup tackles or maybe the backup center snaps the ball over Kirk Cousins' head or something like that. You could kind of understand that.
Yeah.
But it's one of your best players, unfortunately. And look, he's trying to score a touchdown, and I give him all the credit in the world. These guys balling out every week. The numbers speak for themselves. His performance each and every week just continues to show why he's the best wide receiver in football. He and Tyreek Hill, I think. But I don't know. It's just a weird thing that Kirk Cousins can put up those numbers, the amount of touchdowns he throws. He keeps Justin Jefferson happy. A.J. Brown on the other side is unhappy with Jalen Hurts.
Right, with Devontae Smith is the main guy last night, and there seemed to be a little bit of jealousy going on there. But, yeah, I mean, it's funny because if you look back a couple years ago, 2 years ago when the Vikings missed the playoffs, Kirk Cousins had ridiculous numbers, some of the best of his career, and they were losing games and losing them in the end. Last year, they had good numbers, but not as good as the previous year, and they were winning the football games.
You know what I hate also? Offensive player fumbles the ball out of the end zone. Defense automatically gets it on the 20-yard line. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I hate that rule. Like, if let's say a defender intercepts the ball and he's running down a sideline, he gets tackled inbounds, but fumbles the ball out of bounds. His team gets to keep the ball. The only reason that they don't get to keep the ball is because the ball is fumbled in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
I hate
it's
that.
It's a horrendous rule.
Sucks.
And I don't know why. It makes no sense to me why it's even there, but it is the rule.
Why
everybody knows it.
I know, but I hate that rule. And, if you want to do something, maybe you put the ball back on the 10-yard line or something.
Yeah, I mean,
for the offense or the 20-yard line, if you want to say that.
Why is the rule even in place?
I hate that rule. I just hate it.
But why? Tell me why it's even a thing. Like, what are they afraid of? What are they trying to protect? Like, teams doing like a holy roller situation or something? Like, I don't know what the hell they're even trying to do.
There are rules fumbling inside 2 minutes in the fourth quarter and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they always put the ball back because you can't have your offensive another guy. You can fumble the ball, but you have to recover it in order for it to be a recovered ball by you and not put back at the original line of scrimmage. It can't be recovered by one of your teammates. That's the holy roller thing.
Yeah, I know. But this I never understood, but it is the rule. I mean, I can't. I mean, I
just hate that rule.
It sucks, but I'm not. You can't sit here and though, if you were someone who wanted the Vikings to win last night, you can't sit here and complain about the rule because there's just so many.
I've always complained about this rule, and it happened again last. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does happen, it drives me crazy.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Why are you giving? First of all, the defense most likely has given up like 80 yards in a drive. The offense is all the way down. They're the ones doing all the heavy lifting and working. And then all of a sudden the guy fumbles the ball into the end zone and it goes out of bounds and the other team gets the ball. I don't understand why that. Why are you rewarding a defense that just basically has gotten torched?
Yeah, that sucks. And I don't know, competition committee changes stuff every single year. They overreact. You know what you need is like a situation like that in a key playoff game, and then they'll change it.
Oh, it's happened. It's happened. I just think the rule stinks. I think it penalizes the offense way too much.
Yep. So the Cowboys are favored heavily against the Jets to be 2-0. The Eagles are 2-0. The New York Giants have to come out of this game 1-1. We've been saying it since they lost in the way that they did to the Dallas Cowboys and had to sit on that for an entire week. They have to send a statement. I mean, if it's a close game and a win, fine, you move on, you build off of it. But I think the Giants fans and the Giants themselves need to see them go in there and give the Cardinals a whooping, because Josh Dobbs, and God love him, he's like a rocket scientist. He's one of the smartest guys in the NFL. But he's not a starting quarterback in the league. He just isn't. And the Arizona Cardinals, with the Kyler Murray injury and a brand new head coach, they want to tank as much as possible. The players don't, but they're not putting out the best team they could. They didn't get somebody better than Josh Dobbs to be the starter, and the Giants have to go in there and keep up. And that's what it's going to be the whole year long, with the Eagles and the Cowboys ahead of you. The Giants got to keep up.
Doesn't it kind of tells you, where the NFL is in terms of the secondary quarterback market and who is available and how much money you got to pay them. And, the Cardinals traded for Josh Dobbs. And I think they traded for him because of what you just said. He's legitimately a rocket scientist.
He is, yeah.
Scientist. But he's okay as a quarterback. He'll hang around for a long time because he's smart and everybody likes him. And I think there's a lot of respect there for him. But that's the worst quarterback room in the NFL.
Yeah, easily. Yeah. I mean, it's not even debatable.
But it just also goes to show you the dearth of really quality, high-end starting quarterbacks. There aren't any. So that goes back to the Jet discussion. Like, who are the Jets bringing in? Who are they going to get? I'm like, you got to go with the guys you have right now. And then if something happens or you don't like the way things are unfolding, that's when you push the panic button, and then you try to bring somebody else in here as a stopgap.
Well, I think a lot of people, like myself, don't believe that Zach Wilson's going to get it done. So then you're thinking you don't want to throw this season completely out the window. So you start thinking about what is going to be that solution, maybe around the trade deadline, that could help them. And I understand how tough it is for a guy to come in and learn an offense and everything else. But this is one of those situations where the Jets aren't going to sit and watch their season go down the toilet because of the one problem that they have at the quarterback position. They're just not going to do it. Like, something else will happen. I mean, whether it's Tim Boyle coming in and giving him a shot, or it's bringing in a veteran, or whatever the hell it is, they're going to have to do something. They're not going to watch him struggle with all this talent on both sides of the ball around him. They just can't. I mean, they're not going to do it. And I just, for his sake and for the Jets' sake, I mean, this is such a miserable spot for him to come into and start. Really bad.
Against Cowboys, yes.
Really
but
bad.
I will say that this is the best team that they've had since he's been here, since Salah's been here. And it's a team that can support a quarterback that, is going to need all their support before he gets comfortable, or if he even gets comfortable.
Yeah, well, he needs to look the part and earn the respect of his teammates on the field in this game. And if that means standing in there like Kirk Cousins does and getting his ass beat and getting up, saying the right things, I mean, they could lose this game and Zach Wilson could still gain more respect out of the locker room. And that, to me, is going to be the most important thing. They're not favored to win this game. They're actually a huge underdog. But he's got to come out of this thing making the fans believe, and more importantly, the coaches and his teammates believe. Because you can lose this game and still take a step forward. But you could also take a huge step back. He could say something stupid in the press conference.
He won't do that.
He could throw a pick in a situation where the defense is shutting out the Cowboys, a pick six the other way. There's some terrible things could happen. But
good things could happen too,
But right, I know, and I just said that. I said he's got to do something to earn the respect of the fans and his locker room, because he hasn't done that yet on the field. And he could sit there and tell you about how it's so much better and he loves his guys and everybody's picking him up this year. None of that crap means a damn thing until he goes out there and earns it with his play. Nobody cares about his personality anymore. Nobody cares about the MILFs anymore. Nobody cares about any of that. These guys came in with an idea that they were going to put a Super Bowl ring on their finger at the end of the year. And this guy starts holding them back. You're going to see, as that one caller said, you're going to start seeing the Tim effing Boyle T-shirts come up next, because that's exactly what we saw last year, and not much has changed.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah, I know.
You just can just keep beating that dead horse, man.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're slapping the kid around.
Well, I learned for the best about the beating the dead horse.
Yeah, true.
I mean, Jesus. You're like Santa Anita. You've killed so many horses. All right, it's Boomer and Gio on the Fan at CBS Sports Network.
Thanks so much for watching the video.
Please like and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when we're dropping new content.